Would everyone please join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible. Roll call, please.
Chuck Davis,
Here.
Councilman Mike Dooley,
Here.
Councilwoman Kathy Beck here, Councilman Jerry Flutie,
Here.
Councilman Bill Barker.
Here. Go to the agenda. I'd like to make one amendment to the agenda. Come in late today, the Mountain State final payment for the audits they've done. And we'll put that under town hall. Are there any other additions to the agenda? Have a motion to pass the agenda as read with the one amendment.
I'll make the motion.
Have a second? I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Everyone have a chance to look. Last regular meeting, June 18th, minutes. Have a motion to pass last June 18th minutes. Have a second to that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Move on to approval of the bills and the financial statements. We have deposits in the amount of $357,468.66. Accounts payable in the amount of $131,043.11. Transmittals in the amount of $13,190.53. And payroll in the amount of $49,124.77. Payroll was up a little bit. We had to pay out a person this go around. Are there any questions about the bills? I have a motion to pay the bills and approve the financial statement as read.
I'll make the motion to pay the bills and
Do I have a second to that motion? I'll second it. All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to correspondence, and what we received was the FEMA final flood hazard determination. Everyone has a copy of it in their packet. And we accepted it. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, the appeal period for the maps is over, we did that review last fall. And we'll have 6 months from receiving this letter to adopt ordinances or update ours that we have. It's wrong with the way the maps are constructed. I already got a draft. I put it on the state. Get more questions.
I have a contact person if we need some assistance to Kim Johnson. So. Okay, items from the public. We have Union Wireless here. You want to come up? Thank you, sir.
So, I'm Brian Woody. With Union and, letting you know where we're gonna be this year. So in the little map on that second page, the green is already got fiber to the premise. We're hoping to get the yellow finished up this year and be August, September. When we get here to start working on it, and we think we can pull that through this year. The only spot we look like we might have a little issue to get fiber to is there that, southwest corner, no way to say. Yeah, southeast corner, there around the river. But we hope to also have fixed wireless up above that to to be able to take care of people in that with hopefully a lot higher speeds, than they get today. Replacing that old copper. So the second page basically says the same things. Of course, the yellow would be where we think the fixed wireless is gonna play out for this year. And get the blue stuff finished up this year. For sure, unless we run into any major snags. And, then we'll be back to focus on that yellow piece, in 2025. And we'll have more off our plate so we can hopefully focus more on it earlier in the year. So.
Is your conduits all underground, correct?
Correct. Yeah, they'll, more than likely, it'll be a combination, of construction techniques, to put it underground, so between boring, plowing, maybe micro trenching. But definitely boring and plowing. If it's dirt and we can plow it, that goes pretty quick. A lot quicker than boring, especially if there's no other utilities in the
Right.
direction we're going. So if there's water, sewer, gas, any of that stuff, boring tends to work pretty good as long as we can get it exposed and not hit it.
Well, we did a bunch of street repairs up in that blue area this year, so. Be very careful with them. And there's still more to come up in that.
Okay.
Okay,
I mean, if we, if we mess something up, we need to put it back.
we know you will.
In the same shape, not a lot better.
Okay. Thank you for the update. Are there any questions?
No. And well, I guess the only other change that we're doing on this is, those areas immediately when they come up, will have the upgrade. They'll be able to go to 2 gig. The green areas right now they max out at about 1 gig. Technology is moving faster than we can put stuff in the ground, so, the blue areas will be going in at 2 gig. The green areas, we're still working out how we can go and upgrade everybody that's already signed up for it. And because it takes changing out some stuff at the house and some stuff back in the main CO there. So as soon as we get that plan figured out, we'll be contacting customers and hey, you gotta come change out this little box on your house and give you a new modem and they can get up to 2 gig. Some may not care about it because they may not even be getting 1 gig today because they didn't want to pay for it. But when we go to do that upgrade, we'll still upgrade those customers so that if they ever decide to, like, it's just keystrokes at that point.
Any additional? Well, thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you in August or September.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on. Mr. Woods, you have the floor. Thanks for coming in.
See ya.
For a moment, I thought you were gonna skip right down to town hall.
What thought about it?
All right, first, Christmas in July, I got a few things for the council here. So there's a couple of things I wanted to address the council about regarding kind of some stuff that popped up over the last couple of meetings. For those who don't know, other than being the guy who you always see walking around downtown and is oftentimes in town hall so much I should be paying rent. I am vice president on the Wyoming Association Board of Directors, as well as the chairman of the WPA Legislative Committee. There's two things I wanted to talk to you about tonight. First was regarding public notices. And this specifically has to do with the series of resolutions that were read by title only by Jennifer Anderson a couple meetings ago, specifically one called WAM Resolution 24-09, which is a resolution regarding legal advertisements. And so for those who haven't read this resolution, just a quick synopsis is basically WAM, the Wyoming Association of Municipalities, requesting the legislature to, for this next legislative session, put something forth in the legislature about allowing municipalities to really publish anywhere they want rather than in newspapers as has been traditionally done. Throughout this, they talk about, the resolution talks about memorialization, which really is kind of one tier of this whole public notice aspect. Memorialization is, of course, important. And one of the reasons why it's important that newspapers do publish public notices is it serves as a record. At this particular point in time, you could go to the Saratoga Sun office and you could ask to go to the archive and you can find town council minutes, the town council bills paid, stuff like that, going, as far back as we've had a town council. But there's a couple other reasons why this is important. And one of the things I wanted to share with you was some numbers. This was a few years ago, the Wyoming Press Association engaged with Coda Research to poll Wyoming residents on how they feel about public notices in newspapers. And, the results were really interesting. To begin with, about 87% of Wyoming adults turn to local print or digital newspapers for news and information. 78% of Wyoming adults read public notices in the local print or digital newspapers. This includes tax increases, zoning changes, minutes of their local government meetings. 68% believe that state and local governments should be required to publish public notices in newspapers on a regular basis. And 86% cite local newspapers or newspaper websites as their most trusted source of public notices versus government and related sources. On the subject of being elected officials and Wyoming Association of Municipalities being an organization that represents elected officials, with the majority of Wyoming residents thinking that public notices should be in newspapers, I think those are some numbers that are important to keep in mind. Finally, kind of the third tier in all this is independence. It's been floated before in legislation that municipal governments should be allowed to just publish their public notices on their own website. Now, while some people may think this may be a more of an ease of access, one of the things that helps with municipalities publishing their public notices with newspapers is, again, that independence. It separates, not saying that this town council is doing anything, but it separates this town council from having the perception of impropriety. If you were to publish everything on your website and not in the newspaper, someone could come and go, well, I could have sworn it said this time at this time. There's that perception of impropriety, which can sometimes be worse than impropriety itself. And so newspapers stand as this independent third party doing this job for well over 100 years and making it extremely accessible because, especially in rural Wyoming, while Union's still working on getting their broadband out, print is very accessible. Not only can you, buy a print newspaper, you can go to the library and get a print newspaper. They're up at the senior center, et cetera. And so I just wanted to, on that part, do a quick, kind of a public notice rundown on that. Before I move into my next, any questions on public notices, anything like that?
I have a comment on that. I
Yes.
feel that any town record, if we have a local newspaper, I think everything should be published in that newspaper because chances are more people will look at that newspaper than they will our Facebook page or our regular page. This was brought up at the WAM convention. Everybody voted in favor of it to send it towards somebody that might take it before legislation, whether it goes or not, who knows, but I think it was brought up by a smaller town that there's a lot of money spent on publications and stuff like that, but to me, it's the best way to get it out there. That kind of takes the burden off of us that it wasn't published. Nobody can come back on the town because we're open, transparent by doing it this way. That's my feelings on it.
No, and
Can I ask a question at this point? Does it stuff on Facebook, like you switched over to me going back to your Facebook page to get the packet that you have, and it's working just fine?
They're not, I don't believe you post them on Facebook, do you?
Oh,
They're put on
the website.
They're put on the website.
Okay. Is that permanent? I mean, we can go back in when my wife did genealogy, she went into his office and sat down clear back to the founding paper and pulled up people's names in the cemetery to help the town here recreate their cemetery list. Is that stuff that you've got online, is it gonna be there 100 years from now?
They are, right now, I
Get
can't
back
tell you
to
that,
you,
'cause I probably won't be here.
Any idea?
It would be probably on how laws are handed down and how long you have to keep a public record online. I would say our minutes of every meeting will be held there. I can guarantee at least until my term's over.
Okay.
Okay?
I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Because I have had that within my family experience. And in another place, I went into Central City, Colorado, and they showed me the year from 1869.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's what's cool about newspapers, is as long as it doesn't flood or burn or something, it's there forever.
It's kind of like pictures all went digital and
Yeah.
Speaking on that, I can remember when I was mayor in encampment, we went back through one of the original ordinance books that were there
Yeah.
and how the ordinance was, and that was quite interesting on how they, decided how you did things. So hopefully it is,
Just wondering.
thank you.
Yeah, and Richard, we could probably spend hours talking about the impermanence of the web versus the permanence of print, but we're not gonna do that here. And I don't have enough coffee to talk about it. I would just say probably I'd read Caitlin Campbell's column in last week's paper. I think she did a really good job of getting that all really kind of sussed out and explained. So the other thing I wanted to come up and talk about, and this is, and this is sort of something that kind of a perennial type thing that happens with councils and stuff like that. And I'll be perfectly blunt. One of the reasons this has popped up in my head is regarding the discussion during the special meeting regarding the pool manager, when there was a comment about a conversation that was held by a text and emails. And in this lovely gift I gave you guys, you'll see under types of meetings, 16-4-404. Or wait, hold on, sorry, 16-4-403 E. No meeting shall be conducted by electronic means or any other form of communication that does not permit the public to hear, read, or otherwise discern meeting discussion contemporaneously. Communications outside a meeting, including but not limited to sequential communications among members of an agency, shall not be used to circumvent the purpose of this act. Now, I will also, caveat that with, I understand that some of that, some of the discussion that you guys said was going on was involving a personnel. So typically, a lot of personnel stuff typically does fall under executive session. And I'll just caveat that was saying executive session is typically a may, not always a shall, but that's also entirely up to your legal counsel, which I am not. But it brought up an interesting fact that, that I've heard about from other newspapers in the state have happened. And so, here, what I want to be here to do is sort of, dot I's, cross T's, stuff like that. It can be, the intent can be innocuous enough to be, having a text thread among council members of talking about something, or even having an email. And even can start out as an innocuous email of, just having a discussion about something. However, whatever the intent of that, if you have, a majority of the council on an email, you've got a meeting, you've got a quorum of the council, and therefore is a gathering and can count as a meeting of the council, and it's happening outside public view. A conversation is taking place outside of public purview, and the people who have elected you and who are either, sitting here or watching online don't have that contemporaneous access to know what that conversation is going on. And, a couple of things I wanted to point out, some kind of historical stuff. So the WPA, and I believe this is not available on the Wild Press website, but the WPA a few years ago, we engaged with attorney, we had Bruce Mozesar as our First Amendment attorney for years before he retired. And he compiled a number of cases that had taken place, some case law regarding public meetings, public records, public notices, et cetera. And one of the things I wanted to point out, and this goes back to 1979, Emery versus City of Rawlins. The question presented, did an informal discussion before a council meeting violate the Public Meetings Act? The argument was that property owners protested assessments for a special improvement district and asked that an ordinance setting the assessment be declared null and void. The court at the time held that the Public Meetings Act definition of a meeting at the time required a vote or decision to be made. No such decision was made in the case. However, it should be noted that following this, the definition of a public meeting was later amended not only to define a meeting as one where action is taken, but also one where, quote, discussion, deliberation, or presentation of information occurs. And so, that again, going back to kind of that innocuous, okay, we're just sharing information here. Under state statute as it stands, that's, holding a meeting. And so, by having, as we're talking about being transparent and being open, with the people and everything else, I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. Not saying that, not saying that there's anyone, who ever intentionally does it. Not saying there's anyone who does it with nefarious means. Despite, being in 2024 where everything is cynical, I continue to remain an eternal optimist and like to believe that anyone who gets into elected office, whether it's the town dog catcher all the way to President of the United States, is doing it because they have the best interest of the people in mind. And yes, I have been made fun of for being an eternal optimist about all that. And so, with this, just wanted to kind of You know, especially as we've had some changeover in council members. Wanted to kind of bring this up as you know, just you know, as things go forward, and I will, you know, after the election, and we get, you know, either the same council members or returning council, you know, or new council members, you know, we'd be glad to come and have, you know, the same discussion again. But just wanted to present that information, something to chew on, and you know, for not only, you know, you people up here, but for the people, you know, watching in the crowd and, or, you know, watching the public and people watching online. So, any questions about that?
I have a comment on that. We addressed this over a year ago when we talked, when our attorney cautioned us on this, that, you know, going back and forth where all council members are included in an email or something could contribute a meeting. And we were cautioned on that, on how we address it. You know, there's one thing of discussing a matter, but there's also, you know, if you want to share something with your entire council, sharing information is different than actually discussing that information. So,
And yeah, I'd like to add to that, what was mentioned in our special meeting, we don't have a thread, a text thread where all of us talk to one another. It's not a discussion or deliberation type scenario. We might do planning, like we're gonna have a meeting or exchange information, and the emails that we exchange are usually in preparation for these meetings, if we've got information to share. But I just wanted to address what maybe was the impetus behind this conversation, and it was a planning coordination text with one person, so.
Right, no, and Councilwoman Beck, I can understand, and you know, again, you know, not trying to come up here, you know, with the big old bat and, you know, beat you over his head with something. You know, it's more of a, you know, you guys are doing your job, you know, I'm doing my job, and so just wanted to, you know, come up here and present that information. So,
I think that's good.
Appreciate that.
thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
Okay, we'll move on to council comments. Any council comments tonight?
I have a couple.
Okay.
I think that we need to have meeting minutes typed up, Jen, for that special meeting
Yeah.
and approve those. So if we could just put it on the agenda for the next time and add it. And then one other, I just wanted to mention and remind folks, our local government plays a crucial role in the development of our town, our county, our communities. So please remember that we have our primary election candidate conversations next week. So Tuesday, the 9th, 6 o'clock at the community center in the Great Hall. We'll have all of our candidates, our commissioners, and our 2-term, 4-term council members will be, who's going to be on the ballot. They're going to be there, gives our community an opportunity to ask questions. There's a link on the website. If you look at the county level website, you can actually pose those questions anonymously. So if you want to send in your questions, they'll gather those and facilitate those conversations. So just wanted to mention. I have something wrong, Josh. Okay.
One note to that is, as we've done in the past, the Saratoga Sun will be live streaming.
Nice. Oh, thank you. So come out next Tuesday. Have that date right, yes. Tuesday, the 9th, 6 o'clock at the community center. If you'd like to meet your candidates and ask questions. That's all.
Any additional comments? We'll move on to reports from town hall or departments, town hall. You have a resolution, please.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks,
Thanks,
John.
The town of Saratoga, Wyoming, resolution 2024-05. A resolution amending the 2023-2024 annual budget of the town of Saratoga to increase the revenue and expenditures, excuse me, in the general fund and certain line items. for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. Whereas the 2024 general fund requires amending to reflect and required changes. Now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and the town council of the town of Saratoga, Wyoming, that Section 1 pursuant to the terms statute 3.08.020 of the town of Saratoga, the 2023-2024 annual appropriation budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024 is hereby amended as set forth below. A special purpose tax revenue line item to be increased to the following amount. Special purpose tax, $1,957,917.71. B, special purpose tax expenditure line item to be increased to the following amount. Special purpose tax, capital projects, $643,320.30. Transfers to reserves, $1,314,597.41. C, impact funds, revenue line item to be increased to the following amount. Impact funds, $732,123.67. D, impact funds expenditures line item to be increased to the following amount. Impact funds, $425,572.29. Transfer to reserves, $306,551.46. Resolved by the mayor and town council of the town of Saratoga, Wyoming, the second day of July, 2020. So on Aaron, that it'll get fixed. It's not 2,204.
Discussion. I have a question.
Yes,
Could you tell the council, not really a question, but could you tell the council why this happened?
When we were budgeting last year and had the budget set, we did not project, we didn't have Emery here, and we didn't have projects that we were gonna be doing. And so under the specific purpose tax, we had $0 in there to be spent. But we have the money, got clarification on what could be spent on. And so that is showing the revenue that has come in, because we didn't have any money in there set to receive from that. And then the expenditures that went along with it that the council has approved as we've gone along, like the pool, you know, everything that we've been doing. So that's a specific purpose tax. And then the other one was the impact fund revenues. And we just didn't know we were gonna be getting money from the Rock Creek assistance or the Trans West. We had $0 for that money coming in. We didn't know we were getting it, so we didn't budget for it. And so then that's pretty much what that one adds up to. We stayed underneath the expenditures, both of those that we adjusted. The revenues were higher than the expenditures. So does that make sense?
What was the projects?
Projects, the first one, for the impact funds, we had the repair and maintenance, that included the COP, the PD vehicles, no, that was the capital equipment, I apologize. Repair and maintenance, we had street repairs, hot mix, things hitting those line items, that was for the impact funds. And then for the specific purpose tax, those ones were, we had the River Street project in there, the Greater Pool project, the pool deck, Greater Road project, sorry. And then finishing out the rest of the capital improvements.
Thanks, Karina. I just wanted to be very clear on why we amended that budget since it was set. And so now if there are any questions after this, then we'll, you know, they're answered. Any more discussion? I have a motion to pass this resolution amending the budget for 2024-25. Should be 23-24.
The resolution is, I'll make a motion to pass resolution 2024-05.
Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Right, we'll move on to. This was a mix up between me and you. Ellie will be at the meeting on the 16th. We got our wires crossed on that one. Anyway, so we'll move on to, did everybody get a copy of this from Mountain State? Did you put a copy of that in everybody?
Yeah.
This is the final payment. We did a 15% less charge on this for the girl, Jen, Brenda, and Karina all being efficient and getting this guy's paperwork. So we have a final payment of an amount of $3,250 for the audit, and we are all caught up until probably the 1st of August. And we start over for last year's budget. Oh,
Very cool. Thank you all for your work on that. I'll move to pay the invoice to Mountain States.
do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Move on to the police department.
Good evening. Everybody ready for the 4th of July? Yeah, well,
Independence Day.
I think we are too. Saratoga Days, just briefly a little bit on that. We've been meeting with not only the Saratoga Days Committee, but first responders, fire department, swims, the hospital. So we've developed an incident action plan. We're kind of doing double duty. Not only we're developing this plan, but we're using it as an exercise as well. We don't get to do those a whole lot, so we're kind of putting a little extra into this just to kind of check some boxes. Going forward, working with, like I say, emergency management, fire department. All those individuals. So I think we're prepared. I've been talking with Emory and Streets Department for a little bit of help with some of the stuff with taking care of the roads, blocking them as well. And I can get with you a little bit tomorrow though, but I did get a phone call from the folks that are going to do the bank. They actually want to set up tomorrow evening. So I told them we could arrange something to do it. So since our last council meeting, we've had 251 calls for service. We're up just a little bit signing the summer. And with the addition of the 2 officers being able to spend a little bit more time, being a little bit more proactive, we have written 22 citations and 26 warnings. That was for the month of May, the month of June. So that is up a little bit. And that's really just a sign of just being able to be a little bit more proactive instead of just going call to call. We're actually being able to do that. So those 2 things. The other thing that I had on the agenda was the vehicles. Unfortunately, I talked to them this morning. They sold yesterday. So we're out. So like I say, we missed out on, I think, a pretty good thing. We did start looking around a little bit today. First, I'm going to tell you right now, there's nothing at all comparable to that. But we'll keep our nose down and see if we can find something. Would have been a great deal. They just, I've had several conversations with them, both in text and by phone. They were all for holding them for us, but they got an offer yesterday. I can't hold them for taking what they could get when they could get it. So we'll continue to shop and see if we can find something. With that said, we really did try to baby what we've got along. We might have to do some repairs if it takes too long. Try to be gentle on our budget going forward, but we may have to do some repairs on this stuff and find something. Any questions for me?
Thank you for all the work that you're doing on that.
Oh, it wasn't just me. I mean, it was kind of a group effort. So yeah, unfortunately, I was not talking like this first thing this morning. Yeah, threw graham crackers and chocolate milk all over.
Oh,
Took a nap.
shoot.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, we'll move on to the fire department. They have nothing to report. I'm sure they're going to have their pancake breakfast all set up. I see Porta Johns over there, so sure they're getting ready. We'll move on to the rec department. And first I'll start with you over these applications.
Rollins Aquatic Center has sent over 4 people interested in helping us lifeguard. I spoke with Rebecca Westfall earlier this week. She said through the month of July, they can be here Fridays and Saturdays. Because they said their priority is Rollins and they have swim lessons. She said maybe in August that will open up a little bit more. We did talk to them about $18 an hour contract wages plus mileage. And they would fit everybody that was coming over in one car, so the mileage would be just one. They do want a minimum of 8 hours, so it would be a full day that they would be here just to make it worth their time.
Did we talk to them about possibly offering classes, swim classes? They're all WSI, or at least 2 of them are WSI.
It would have to be in August.
Okay.
That will
Cool.
be up to the pool manager. What I would like to do is, our people come first, of course. But I would like you to give this to the pool manager, but I would like the council to go ahead and vote on this tonight. So the pool manager can make arrangements with these people. And, the mileage will be 67 cents a mile. That did go up 2 cents. Well, it went up a penny and a half, but the federal government raised it 2 cents, so.
About $67 per trip.
About that, 100 miles roughly, yeah. So. And $18 an hour contract wages, which means they'll pay their own taxes and we'll give them a 1099 at the end of the year. Council's feeling.
I think we should do it.
It'll definitely keep some of the concerns down about the pool being open.
Yeah.
And if their schedule changes, in August and they can provide a little more time, that's when our kids go back to school. So it could help out, make it a lot easier to run it through September.
Yeah.
Or at least the first part of September.
How many applicants do we have?
4 here.
Okay. I've moved to proceed with the approval of hiring these 4 on contract terms pending pool managers.
Do I have a second to that?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. And then do you have anything to report from your direct board meeting? Well, not really, but. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you good?
Yep.
Okay. Last night's rec board meeting was my first one, meeting everybody. We visited about a few things that they're looking at doing. Really wasn't a lot of discussion because there was a few members of the board missing last night, so. Really wasn't a lot to report as of yet.
Okay. All right, your next meeting is August 5th, 6 p.m. Okay. Anything else on recreation? We'll move on to Department of Public Works.
Good evening, everybody. Fourth. Okay, starting out, so we got our new dump truck, they got the bed all built and it's done. We're kind of finding a plow for it's been a little bit of tricky for multiple reasons. One, it's a class 6 truck, So a lot of the big class 7 plows are a bit heavy, but we still want to be able to do what we do with it. And 2, plow lead times are horrible. Anywhere, depending on what plow you're looking at, they're like 7 months to a year and a half out. So we got with the guys who we got the truck from, and we've messed with other fab shops out of Casper and stuff, and we, got a quote for a bigger plow. It was like 50 grand. But it's gonna be a little bit too much for a truck. So this is one that was same size that we have now. It's comparable in weight, so it'll, scrape and perform like we need it to. The lead time is only 75 days. And this includes all the work on the frame and everything to get it accepted. They're gonna end up beating a little bit on that too, because there's some stuff they have to do per the specs when we bid the truck out anyway. So this is the most affordable option I could find to get a plow put on that truck. And if we do this one, I'll have it on there before it snows. Well, it'll probably snow once, probably in August or something. And that was the biggest kicker, is the lead time was, the price, the install was a good price. The lead time was 75 days, which is the best I've been able to find. It's a 10-foot, it'll fit in the shop like our other ones. It's about 1,300 pounds. It's still heavy enough to scrape ice. And
Question?
I highlighted that 17.6 because obviously we're not gonna pay them the taxes.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna.
Yeah.
This is a company in Casper, you said?
No, this is the one out of Colorado where we got the truck. We did talk to a company in Casper about doing these guys' fab shop was stacked months and months out. I said, hey, you guys said you'd help us. So when they're offering to squeeze this thing in once the plow shows.
I think it's a good idea. I think we ought to get it put on and get the truck ready.
I'll move to approve the purchase of this. We're just doing the snowplow assembly, right?
Yes, and this includes the installation.
And the installation. Also, I'll move to approve the invoice of 17,675.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey, and then just a quick update. So we are gonna they got through the intersection on our water project down here over by Hickory. That went like way better than we thought it was going to. We'll have all that cleaned up. We're gonna backfill everything, so they'll be able to use all that for the 4th. The normal access will be open. We won't have any open trenches or anything during that time. And then they're planning on, hopefully if all goes well, we're gonna pave that intersection next Thursday. We gained quite a bit of ground these last couple of days. They did a lot of potholing and stuff, and strategically we went through there. That was the worst part of the project we were worried about, was what we were gonna find in that intersection, and then it probably went smoother than anything else we've done so far. So
Good.
I was anyone concerned about it messing up the 4th, that should be out of the way. Chips Hill part of the project is done for the road project. We're looking at probably a pay app here. We came under quantity, so we should be like right on our budget of where we thought we were gonna be. And then anybody have any questions about the Chips Hill project?
I just want everybody, I feel it went excellent.
I do too.
Great job.
Chip sealed the street we just did the water line in.
Yeah, they're gonna, once they get all done. 71, the plan is for them to come back, and somebody's got to do it as part of they bid on it. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And then we'll prep some of the other spots of the road and stuff that aren't in the best shape, and we get all that, chip seal that whole thing, so it's all fresh and cleaned up as well. But no, it went pretty smooth. Those guys got in and got out of here.
Yeah.
The chips they had were really dirty and were not working. So they did backhaul all those Vector Rollins and hauled in new chips. We were a little concerned right off the get-go that we weren't gonna be able to get it done, but
You and the guys did a great job getting everything ready and
Yeah.
getting prepared for these guys when they come in, because they wanted to come in and get out.
yeah, and they did.
They
And I appreciate everything. I mean, John and the guys did.
And you also. You need to appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I agree. I felt like it went really smoothly. The communication was good, even when there was a slight delay in the seal. And then with the Hickory job, I felt like the detours, the signage and everything, it was clear. So I was really impressed with how smooth both projects went.
Started out not clear, then ended up clear.
When I was down there, it was clear. So it was good.
It took some, some adjusting.
Good job.
That was good.
People got figured out. Yeah, and so we'll mill and overlay part of that road project, talking to Scotty. Hopefully end of July, like first part of August is when they're thinking they'll be able to get their paving crew down here and get all those roads done on that. So that'll be kind of nice. We should be having the bulk part of this done down here when they show up to do that road project. We've been sweeping and cleaning up town a little bit since we got a little behind because of the chip seal. We had the detour task, but we did get the sweeper out and started sweeping, and then it broke, and then we got it fixed, and then we started sweeping again this morning. So Bridge Street look is ready for the weekend for the most part. And then we'll just keep, as 71's making mix, we'll keep doing potholes and stuff around town. I mean, we didn't fix every street in town, so we'll have other streets to do. So it's kind of on the streets and sewer lift station. They're working on the design right now for the airport lift station, getting survey pulled for that. As soon as we have a elevation, we'll start looking at units to get ordered, so we know how deep we're gonna need it. And then the lead times on those are about 6 weeks, so hopefully we'll get something.
You're gonna go with a fiberglass tank up there, aren't you?
I think we can with no groundwater or anything up there. I think it would work pretty good. Where I came from, we got a Smith and Loveless one that was a fiberglass right next to the river. It's been in there since like 1971. Didn't have a leak on it, but that's that's a high quality, expensive bulb. So I think out of the groundwater, I think we'll be up there. We should be good. Never forget Park. WLC is going to come down after the 4th and stake it probably end of next week. So we know where we need to start building up and cutting down. And then we did have a meeting on that park about the grant they have kind of rolling right now. And we can move forward with what we try to get done this year, and it shouldn't affect any of the things they were wanting to do.
Good.
So, yeah, that on the park. Probably it. Public Works fight, and we're still weeding pests. We're still spraying Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We finally got a couple of calm nights that I think really helped. I mean, I don't know, Jerry, how they've been down here the last 4 or 5 days.
Well, they haven't been bad.
Yeah,
I get hit twice though every night.
that's true.
Can't judge it by mine. Yeah.
Up on the hill, like 2 or 3 weeks ago at my house, they were terrible. And after those couple calm nights we had.
Up on the mountain, they're terrible.
13th.
Well, you chose to live next to all that ag ground, bub.
Well, but it doesn't help when your sprayer turns around and layers.
Oh, not making it all the way to the end.
Yeah.
I'll pass the complaint
May
on.
not know that's at city limits where they probably think it ends there.
Yeah, probably.
I bet they do.
Yeah, we'll just keep on that schedule as long as we got guys and try to keep them down the best we can. We'll look for that other aerial here in about a week and a half is the plan.
If you maintain the guys and they can do it, feel free to up more spraying time.
Yeah. I want to do that. I just want to make sure we can schedule ahead of time, just so we know if we have anyone in the public that doesn't like to be outside those days, they kind of know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's better.
You don't get your ass chewed, huh?
No. Gary?
Prefer not,
Yeah.
I wear thick leather pants every day.
Yeah.
Any more public works questions? Water and Sewer Joint Powers Board, we haven't had another meeting. The plan is just kind of keep going through the sewer ordinances when we have that next meeting next week. Not a ton really to report there. Planning Commission, couple of things. We are gonna have a special meeting on July 23rd to go over that stamp study. We got we're just getting the draft done. They were printing them this week. We were gonna do it next week, but like 4 days to go. Things like 75 pages long. So it's a lot of, and it's a lot of background stuff. But that's a lot for everybody to read through and then us to sit down and discuss it, you know, especially over the fourth, like, so. And then in August, there was a bunch of the last planning meeting, I don't know, debate, discussion, argument. I don't want to call it about Airbnbs again and said, hey, you don't, you know, we have all this allegorical information. Just have a public hearing and see if anybody, you know, who's actually going to show up and say something about it. And so at the August 13th meeting, they're going to have a little public hearing on that. So if you know anybody interested in that topic, please have them come. That would be helpful. We're working on the flood hazard ordinances. I'll get cracking on those, probably get a draft off the Kim after we have maybe in August, that first meeting in August, I'll shoot them out and we can kind of look, you can read through them and there's not a lot to change. And then I'll get a draft. We want to send them to the state before we adopt them, just to make sure we're in with FEMA. I'm working on updating the zoning map. Yeah, that's about, and there's other little things. For our housing units, we're at 5 housing unit permits this year. So a little bit, we're a little more last year and a little more the year before. As far as if you look at interest rates and you look at housing units, you know, we saw in 2020 and 2021, in the beginning of 22, they were really, housing units every year were really going up. And then you see interest rates go this, and then we're kind of petered out. So it'll be interesting if, you know, rates come back down here in the next couple of years, what that will, if building will pick back up or not. I do think it's leveled off a little bit. It's not wildfire like it was, you know, 2.5 years ago. That's all I got on that. And then we got that second reading for the poultry ordinance.
I just want to say too, Emery has volunteered on the third reading to read the whole. ordinance.
Oh, good, thanks.
I've been volunteering.
He also said he'd haul an elephant home for you too, and you didn't see it, huh?
Ordinance number 24-70, an ordinance to amend the town of Saratoga Town Code Title 18 subdivision. Section 18.42.150 horses, livestock, and other barnyard animals. And amending the town of Saratoga Town Code Title 6, Section 6.04 animals generally.
Do I have a motion to pass ordinance 870 on poultry on its second reading?
I'll make the motion, pass it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, we'll move on to community center joint, or I mean, the Recreation Commission. Oh, we already did.
Yeah, we did that.
I did that on the one thing. Okay, we'll move on to the Saratoga Airport Advisory Board. The only update I've got on that is a new camera. I don't know when they're gonna bring it, but it had been paid for.
It was actually delivered today.
Oh, was it? Okay. So we should be making arrangements to get it put up. The feed is good going to and from here. So the problem, been narrowed down to lie in the camera itself. We verified that. We had another person come in and did some looking at it, and it was verified. It was discussed at the airport board. These guys aren't familiar with Pine Cove. They wondered why Pat Walliser hadn't looked at it. And I just talked to Pat one day and he took a look at everything and determined that it has to be and spoke with Pine Cove, and they determined it had to be the camera. So the camera has been bought and paid for. And it was delivered today, so they'll be getting it up there pretty quick. Their next meeting is July 8th, 2024. At 3:30 PM here at the town hall. Okay.
Could we back up? I'll just back up to community center. Community center.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped
Okay.
right over that.
We don't, I don't have anything to report. Just our next meeting is July 8th at 4:30 at the Dixon Center.
I'm sorry.
Got it. It's okay.
Okay, I have nothing to report from the Southwest Wyoming Emergency Medical Service Board. Their next meeting is July 15th, 6 P.M. at the Saratoga Ambulance Barn. Is there any new business that needs to be brought before the town?
I saw Ben, was he gonna report on the work they did on the track?
What he did is he walked in, he didn't want to take up any time in the council meeting, showed us a quick video of before and after,
Oh, cool, okay.
which
And it looks good.
and
Yeah, it
it does. They put a lot of work into that and
was a full day and they had quite a few volunteers help out, so I just saw him and wanted
Well,
to.
evidently one of them had a helmet cam on as they were
Cool.
riding their bike.
Yeah, he flew a drone over it. He flew a drone over it.
Oh, is that what he did? Oh, okay. Anyway, come out good.
Thanks, it's been used and kids are using it, so it's just
Hope they use it.
nice, good report on a community effort. Cool.
Seeing none, no executive session. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.